Hi, everyone. Welcome to this special session on selling your story to an interview, an IIM board, to make sure that the coveted IIM call or any of the business school calls that you have, you end up getting the final selection. So, this 1 hour session is going to take you through many questions that probably you have: what to study, how to study, what are the very important points that you should not miss out on. I want to pick up very key questions like Isha has asked, sir, what should I say if I have a gap year? The answer to that question probably would be that don't bother about the gap year. You have a gap year, that's okay. Nobody is going to cut marks because of the gap year. However, they will cut marks if you do not know how to express what you have done in that way. Amitesh Ranjan, how is IIM Indore? Damn good, I guess. Amitesh, what is that? I mean, please ask a question as compared to what are you saying? Is it better than IIM Ahmedabad? Probably not. Is it better than IIMT Ghaziabad? 100% yes. What is the question? And what is your background, which will tell you whether you want to get into an IIM Indore or not? I think these questions are very important to kind of take a decision in that sense. Does IMC ask math questions also to a commerce guy who hasn't studied maths in +2? Thiru Siddharth Roy, you have done your basic math in 8th, 9th, and 10th, right? Basic probability, basic graphs. Definitely they can ask. And if you're not able to solve basic math, let me clear, it's not just IIM Calcutta. IIM Ahmedabad also asks, IIM Kozhikode also asks, IIM Indore also asks. You will be out of the interview if you can't probably draw a graph itself. Okay? Asutosh Roy, this is not a session for CAT preparation. For CAT preparation, there'll be another session. In fact, there is a 9:30 session that I'm taking. Go to careerlauncher.com, figure out what is the session, register for that. That'll be free. But this is a session of how to sell your story in an IIM. Okay? Please ask very relevant questions to how to prepare for this interview or what kind of questions that you might have in an interview, rather than asking, hey boss, is that college better or this college better? Incidentally, I will take take a session where we will also talk about which business school is better as compared to the other one, but that is when you have a final selection. At this stage, I think you need to get that final selection, and that is going to be very important. So Divay Garg is asking a very basic question. 75 EWS, any cap call convert possible? First and foremost, Dave, if you have an interview call, you have a chance to convert. As simple as that. Otherwise, they will not even call you, my friends. Please understand that. So therefore, very important for you to figure out that if you have an interview call from any institute in the country, you are with a chance to convert that, whatever may be your level of percentile that may have. Please understand, the interview part of it will be a very significant portion of your final selection. I hope you understand that very clearly. I will answer those questions. So here is what I will do, guys. What I will do is I will start with a very simple presentation for you. The next 30 minutes, I look at how do you sell your story. A lot of these questions that you have, how do I present that 1 year gap? What are ethics in the interview? What should you prepare for? All those questions and more will get answered, including how to introduce yourself, etc. kind of things. Okay. Is there any interview for certificate course also in any IIM, sir? Depends, Ajay, depending on which certificate course you are talking about. Thank you, Arvind. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, see again, this particular session, and I'm going to stick to that basic idea about the session, is if you have to prepare for an interview for a business school, an IIM or anything else, what are the essentials that you require, and what is that selling of your story? How do you kind of build your story to make sure that you are taken care of? What I'm going to do is, Shreya, just tell me whether this is visible. Shreya, are you there? If you can tell me, and also anybody who is there on the screen, if you can say whether the presentation is available, that will become easier for me to go ahead and answer. It is not visible still. Okay, no is what you're saying. Fair enough. Let me just see what is the best way I can get it available so that it's simple. 1 second, guys. Now is it visible, guys? Shreya, you'll have to unmute yourself and say if you can. Now
It's
visible.
not visible, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not visible.
No, okay, fair enough. So, what we are going to do today in the next 35, 45 minutes, and then I will take all your questions, is how do you sell your story in an interview, especially for a B school? But before that, I'm sure the first question that you need to ask yourself is, boss, what are the preparation essentials that you need to figure out on? Remember this, that this is a personal interview. If it's a personal interview, then one is going to talk about, in fact, any interview will ask you only about your personal questions. Now, the personal questions or personal life story will include your subject, will include your 8th, 9th, and 10th maths, will include your undergraduation marks, it will include your general awareness that's happening around you. But this interview that you're going to go through is your personal life story. And hence, understanding this life story for yourself and what are the key points in your life story which you want to sell. Let me start with a very, very basic logic of this. If there is something about you that you want to talk about, your interview should ensure that that thing you are definitely going to talk in an interview.
I'm
How
sorry to
we-
interrupt, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's still not visible. It's just stuck at a place, so it's not still visible.
it's not visible.
Yeah, yeah.
Even
The home screen is visible, but yeah, the PPT is not visible. Uh,
okay,
if in case you can share with me, I can maybe put it.
that'll be a good idea. What I'll do is I'll just send it across to you. If you can share it, that'll be great, Shreya.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'll
I'll
send
do
it.
that. I'll do that.
Okay, so in the meantime, I get my colleague to showcase this. Let me also tell you that, look, there will be lots and lots of questions that you guys will have. Do not worry. In the course of this today's discussion, we will make sure that all these and more are answered for you. Okay, okay. Here is we go, and Shreya, it's with you. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and you know keep answering the questions that are there in our friends the thing. Sahil Bhavani, how are you? How does it matter, Aniket? You are good. That's nice, sir. Visible is what you're saying, but it's okay. Now, Shruti, I will answer those questions and more as we go along. Give me a few more minutes. Sir, I have prepared for defense services for 1 year. Will it impact my IIM interview? It will not impact, Akhilesh, as long as you are able to explain why you have done that and what you want to do right now. Mrinal, SPJ IIM are also slightly different. It is because it's at GI1 and GI2. That's a separate session that we have been taking, Mrinal Srivastava. What I would like you to do is, the GI1 is more like a normal interview, like a general interview, whereas GI2 will be more of an ethical based question interview in that sense. Just a second. Okay. Palak Kandelwal is asking, how do I tackle low graduation score? There's nothing like tackling low graduation score. They will ask you questions. Why is your score low? There are only two possibilities. Everybody in the class is low, which is not a possible real reason. The second possibility is that you got low because you have not put in effort at all. Correct? So therefore, the next thing that I'm going to talk, I think now we have this PPT also. I'll answer that question. I'll go to the next slide before we go into it. Whereas the question, Palak, is that you need to be honest. You need to tell why you have not put in effort. However, there will be questions in your graduation that they will ask you. As long as you are able to answer 70 to 80% of those questions, I think you are through in that sense. Okay. Aditi Jaiswal, do you have a final selection of PGP HRM from IIM Indore? Point number 1. Point number 2, do you have anything better than that? 2. Even if you don't have a B school, do you have a job which gives you a far better career as such? Decision as far as which is better, which is not better, is all depends on, boss, what you have, rather than whether this is good or that is bad. So keep that in mind, is always I would say. Okay, Shreya, I would like your help, or Aditi, I would like your help to kind of look at what is it that we will do to make sure that your preparation is perfectly taken care of. When you go to a PI, when you go to a personal interview for an IIM, the most important thing that you're doing is you are telling your personal life story. So what is this life story and what are the essentials that are there? We'll look at it. The first point that is important is they want to figure out. I'll give you, before I go to the other parts of it, remember, all of you have written an exam called a CAT, ZAT, SNAP, IFT, or whatever. Now the point is, you have cleared the cutoff. You have cleared the cutoff. If you've cleared the cutoff, that means each one of you, as far as the institute is concerned, is eligible to get into that. That's what somebody asked, sir, I have a very low percentile. Do you think I can convert the call? It's a technically, please need to understand that any call, once you get it, that's the minimum percentile they have taken, which means that theoretically, even practically actually, but theoretically, anybody who gets an interview call has a chance to convert. It's a different issue. It's a different issue that not everybody converts because of the your nagging doubt people have about themselves, saying that, boss, maybe I have a very low score, and hence don't put in the kind of an effort that is required. But now, given the fact that you have a chance to get into an institute, the IIM or etc., and you have got the minimum percentile cutoff, which is the reason why you are in front of an interview panel, now they want to ask you, bhai ho kaun? Aap kaun ho? That is a kind of who am I? So therefore, the personal life story, when we talk about asking who am I kind of questions. And who am I means, what are the things that only you can talk about yourself? The first one is, of course, tell me about yourself. While they will not ask you, tell me about yourself or tell us about yourself kind of a thing, what they are looking at it is, do you or can you introduce yourself in such a way, like somebody was asking a little while back in this chat, can you ask yourself, can you introduce yourself in such a way that they will be interested in your story? The next one obviously will be the strengths and weaknesses. Again, why are they asking these strengths and weaknesses? Strengths and weaknesses could be anything else, but you are going for a management program. If you are going for a management program, then the next question will be, is there a way in which this person, the student who's in front of them, has the kind of right strengths to become a manager, and also not that kind of weaknesses which can hinder him or her for a manager. The next one, of course, is going to be interests and hobbies. They want not a maggu. They want not only an extracurricular person, but they are looking at an all-round personality which will have the right kind of interests and the hobbies also put together. And the last but not the least, there will be a lot of issues like somebody has, let's look at some of the special issues that can come in is the 1 year gap that you have, or you can have you're preparing for defense, you're preparing for UPSC, or there is a degrowth in your scores, or something it's unrelated. You have done an engineering and you want to do an MBA, you have done philosophy and you want to do an MBA, unrelated undergraduation course, or you have done mass media and you suddenly want to become a consultant. These are some of the questions that can be asked, and they are asking you because can you tackle these questions much better? Can you tackle these questions much better? The next thing is they can also ask you about problems with your health, if there are any, like for example, because of your health there is a gap, there's a health because of which your percentiles have gone down. Anything and everything of this nature they will want to ask. This is more of who am I. Once there is a clarity about who you are, the next is, okay, fair enough, I know you. Can I know what do you want to do? You want to become a cyclist, you want to become an Olympic gold medalist, don't waste my time and your time. That's what it's going to be important. That means you are coming to a business school, therefore they want to ask you, boss, what do you want to do? And when you say what do you want to do, the first question that comes in is why you have done what you have done till today. That is important. For example, you have taken up engineering for some reason or the other, good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. But if you have done your engineering, there is a reason why you have done your engineering. Or BA in philosophy, BA in political science, MBBS, BA in pharma, B pharma, whatever that may be. The next question is, why do you want to do an MBA? You have done whatever you have done till now. Now you are coming. Okay, I think there is some kind of a issue. Here is what I'm saying. So why MBA? And more importantly, they will also ask you why not do something else. For example, you have done a BTech, why not an MTech? You have done a BCom, why not an MCom? Why not a CA? Why not a CS? Why not a CFA for that matter? Or if you have done an MBBS, why not an MD? The whole logic of, or somebody says if you're doing defense, or if you're doing something like uh, let's say UPSC, why not go there, and why are you coming to that, coming to us for an MBA school or a B school? So these are the kind of questions which are a part of your life story, which if they are convinced, you are definitely going to get into. One last question that can ask you, or two questions that they can ask you is, okay, if you don't do an MBA, what else will you do? Now, this is a very tricky question. They can somewhere in the very beginning start asking you about your career goals, for example, and then say, hey, why do you want to do an MBA? What you are going to do is connect these career goals to your MBA. Then somewhere very smartly they will ask you, okay, no problems, we understood whatever, but what will you do if you don't get into an MBA? Let's say you don't get a final selection from this college. What will you do? You will say, okay, sir, next year I'll write other colleges, I will go there. You'll say, let's say you didn't get anywhere else. What will you do? This is a very interesting question. Now, if you say, boss, if I get an MBA, I will become a corporate manager and be an entrepreneur. If you don't get into an MBA, I'll become a musician and I'll start teaching music to my kids. That's a completely different thing, which means to say your career goals are completely dependent upon whether you get through an MBA college or not. And that is a question mark. I don't think that will be the right kind of a approach that one has to take. And hence, your career goals, whether they are short-term goals or long-term goals, have to depend, with or without an MBA, on what you really want to do. If you can understand that, and if you can kind of build this personal life story, and if you look at it in one single slide, I am putting together what is it that you need to do and prepare for. Now, one more thing. When somebody says, tell me about yourself, what will I say? There are so many things to say. How much time I should speak about? There's no point in saying that I am so and so, I have graduated from, or I've done my 8th class, 9th class, 10th class from XYZ school, my 11th and 12th from ABC school, my degree from PQR college. That's bullshit. That's there in your application form. Why would you want to say all those things which is already there in the application form? They are asking you a lot more than what is available in the application form, and you will take. Here is my thing, whether it is Pijan, Brunal Srivastava, you're listening to me, or everybody else who is listening to me, your introducing yourself should be approximately anywhere between 75 seconds to 90 seconds. In that 75 seconds to 90 seconds, you need to be able to give a hook to the interviewer to be able to ask you questions on who you are and what you want to do in life too. And if you can do that, I think half the interview is done. Half the interview is done. And next week, what will go is the professional life story. Once you understand your personal life story, the next one will be a professional life story. What is professional life story? Let's look at a few things, like what happens in your school and college. In your school and college, what have you done? You have done mathematics. Now somebody asked me, I am Calcutta, will it ask maths for a student who are done your 11th and 12th? Of course they will ask you, or anybody can ask you for that matter. Don't even think that maths is not important, or for that matter even physics. They can ask you Newton's laws of motion. But again, the reason they're asking you is, boss, kabhi zindagi mein kiya hai? How can you have forgotten that? The second important thing is subject. Like for example, any ACAD related questions, tips, someone with statistics in UG, you need to know everything about measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. You need to go beyond understanding mean, median, mode, or beyond understanding what is a standard deviation or a variance. You need to understand the reason for that too. Likewise, if you look at the subjects, pick the top 4 subjects that you can think of, probably top 2 subjects that you're really good at, and 2 subjects where you have really not done well in your undergraduation. Because there is a possibility that the interviewer will ask you on what you are supposedly very strong in, or what you are very weak in, saying that bhaiya theek hai, isne score to acha nahi kiya, this guy has not done well in the score, but maybe, just maybe, he is good in that. And if you're not good in that, your low academic scores then will affect you in your overall analysis. Then in the school and the college, you would have done some projects, some internships. You need to know inside out about it. You can't say that, sir, project to maine 3 saal pehle kiya tha. I have done this 3 years back, so I don't know anything about it. That's stupidity. Similarly, if you have done internships, you need to know the objective of the internship, the work that you have done, and the outcome of the internship very, very clearly. If you don't know these 3 things, then there's what's the point in doing an internship in the first place? The next part of your professional life, if you are a person with a work experience, is going to be, boss, what is your role? What is the KPA that you have? What are the key performance areas that they're going to look at you? What are your achievements and work? What extra achievements at non-work event? Probably while you're doing your work, you would have done a great job, but they can also ask you something very interesting, saying that, okay, boss, okay, this is what you have done in your work. Tell me, what have you done outside the work? Have you done any corporate social responsibility based jobs in an NGO within the company itself, or outside the company in the social atmosphere? Have you done? The basic idea is your job, your role, your achievements, and your work with a non-work kind of an environment. Any of these things can be asked. That's your first part of your work experience. The second part of the work experience is company related. You are working in an organization, you will need to know what is your market capitalization, what is the revenue for the quarter, for the year as such, what is the profit for the year, for the quarter. If your company is listed, you should know what is the market price, what is the EPS, what is the P by E ratio, and what is the projection for the next quarter or the next 1 year. If you don't know this, then there's going to be a problem. Second thing is, they will ask you about the industry itself, and more importantly also on competitor. If you are working on a company with a company, then they'll ask you, okay, who are your competitors of this company? And last but not the least, they're going to ask you the future prospects of not just yourself, but also of the company. So before I go to the next one, just let me recap certain things very, very, very important. You have a personal life and you have a professional life. Both these things are yours. In your personal interview, in your personal interview in any of the business schools, IIM Ahmedabad se leke IIMT Ghaziabad tak, it doesn't matter which institute, they are going to test you, question you on these two very, very important areas. And the last one, which is also important, is your social life story. So there are three parts of it: your personal life, your professional life, and the third one is a social life story. It's about what happens around you. Do you know what's happening around you? About your city, your state, your country. If you are from Nagpur, do you know that the 0th mile starts from Nagpur? You're from Delhi. Where did Delhi get its name Delhi from? What was it called before it was called Delhi? How many times Delhi was made the capital by the Mughals, by anybody else? That kind of questions can be asked about your city, state, and country. Similarly, about your country, business. Who are the top 5 business women that you know of? If you're a woman, if you're a man, also, if you want to be an entrepreneur, tell me top 5 entrepreneurs in your life. Politics. 5 institutes, five states are going to the polls: Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Manipur, Punjab, and which is the fifth one, by the way? Down south, which one is the fifth state going to the polls? Of course, I know the answer, but I'm just checking whether anybody else who is listening to this is very quick in answering that question. So you need to know, oh, who is the current chief minister, who is the current incumbent party which is going on, which is the what are the chances for each of them, why do you think which one will work, etc. Very good, Harsh, Swarnabha, Amitesh, all of you, thank you so much for giving me quickly that answer. Goa is the right answer for that. People, where do you come from? Then issues about, again, city, state, and country of your own country: GDPI, the PCI, the per capita income, the growth, GDP growth, as well as the population growth. Who are the business leaders? Anything and everything on the left side is very, very important. The second thing is international and national, or about the neighbors. Again, you talk about business, you talk about politics, political issues. What is the kind of a problem that we are having with China, with Pakistan, with UK, with the US? Sports issues. For example, if tomorrow Nadal wins the Australian Open, he would have won the 21st Grand Slam. Are you aware of that? Thanks, Theta. Second, sports. Lot more sports. There is an under 19 World Cup going on right now, and India is in semi-finals, is in the quarter-finals. Is it going to be in the semi-finals? I hope what I said is correct. If it goes to semi-finals, it's going to play whom? Which are the other two? I'm talking about when you go into the interview, you will be ready. Similarly, when I go back to the social life, again, business, when you're talking about, there's a budget coming up day after tomorrow on 1st of February. Nirmala Sitharaman is your finance minister. What is she going to come out? Tomorrow morning, there is a economic survey going to come out. They will ask you those things also, even if your interview is on 20th of February. Please don't ever think that 20 days back the budget happened, they will not ask me this. They can ask you. Till all end of March, they asked the students about the farm loss last year. So please be very, very clear about that. So the whole idea in life is to be ready with all the things which are affecting your social and the, more encompassing life: sports, terrorism, covid of course has been really, really a problem for all of us, and hence this is what I'm going to ask you. So there are 3 parts of your story. And that's what personal interview is all about: your personal life story, your professional life story, and your social life story. If you can solve this, if you are ready with this, trust me, there cannot be an interview you cannot crack it. Having said that, now let me look at how do you sell your story. What are the key things that your selling your story comes in? I believe that your story is very, very important. Now the problem is, they may not ask you what you want to say. Then what do I do? Let's say you're prepared for an answer. Let's say you're prepared for why MBA, and then they never asked you that, and you had a fantastic question answer made for that. Or you want to talk about your strengths and weaknesses, and you want to talk about your strengths and weaknesses, for example, and it's not even talked about at all. So you have to figure out, you have to figure out, you have to figure out, bhai, what question is this guy asking? What question is this asking? And how can I mold my answer in such a way that I will answer what I want to answer? What I call the cow story. Absolutely, Theta. I always say that. Cow story. I have a, there's I keep saying this in my interviews, there's an apocryphal story. I don't, apocryphal is not genuine, which says that there is an interview guy who prepares only one answer and goes. And his answer is all about, he knows about what? About a cow. His preparation of the cow is, boss, there is a cow which is white in color. The cow has two legs in front, two legs in the back, one tail, or whatever. One answer for cow. The interviewer asks about the cow. My answer is there about the cow. Oh, brilliant. This cow, this is white in color. It has two legs in front, two legs in back, one tail, etc. What if in an interview, the interviewer asks, tell me about a tree. You prepared for a cow, and there's a tree. Question asked in tree. How do you answer that? The answer is very simple. There is a tree. Tied to the tree is a cow, and you talk about the cow. If they ask you about a field, say, yeah, there is a large field. In the field, there is a cow, and you talk about a cow. I know, I'm making it very, very sound silly, but what we are trying to get at, is very simple. That look, there are certain answers that you need to prepare for. Something about yourself, your story, which you want to talk about. And use every means of brilliance, every means of an idea where at the slightest chance you recite your story. You connect your story to that. For example, they ask you why MBA. You have prepared for what are your strengths. You go back and talk about your strengths and then connect to the MBA. They ask you about your strengths. You connect to what your why MBA answer and say that, okay, this is therefore my strength. You will see that any kind of a HR question they ask, you can very well talk about your story. So here is the story that you need to be thinking about. Here is the story you need to be thinking about. Before I continue, one question that Anchal Yadav is asking, let me check whether she, what the question is. Sir, if I am selected in any new IIM, will there be a discrimination in final placement offers because of my academic background? No, don't worry about it. Some companies may not shortlist you. But once again, like any institute, any organization, the moment any organization shortlists you, you have a chance to get there. As simple as that. So don't bother about it, is what I'm saying. Achal, one more thing I'll say. Even if there is a discrimination, I'm not saying there is a discrimination, but I'm asking that the school of thought, the drift of thought that I'm trying to explain. Do you have a better thing to do? Are you saying that you should not get discriminated anywhere because you got a 50% in your degree? Boss, there will be colleges, there will be institutes, there will be companies which will not touch you at 50%. There will be companies which will touch you at 50%. Please go to those people who will give you a chance at 50%. Don't bother about those companies which will not give you at 50%. Isn't it that simple? Isn't it that simple? I think that is important for us. Okay, so keep that in mind is what I would say. Now, here is what we'll come back to my story, and I'll answer the Harsh's and Manav's questions later. So, in your story, the way I look at it is pick 5 things to look at. Look at how your story is. How do you build your story? See, first thing that you need to be able to tell the interviewer is, boss, my story is truthful first. It has to be truthful. You will have to look at it saying that, look, my story has a lot of mistakes. My story also involves a lot of pretty bad decisions. My story also has failures. Remember, Failures are a stepping stone to successes. There can be failures also. In fact, you will be very surprised that if you had a failure and you're overcome that, they'll be very happy to take you, because you know what is it to improve yourself. You will also see, and that's what you need to be able to tell, that it's not just about bad decisions, failures, bad mistakes, etc., but you need to be able to tell people that, boss, I have overcome challenges. I have overcome challenges. And that is the idea of your story. Next, what we look at is, what has been your decisions that you have taken? How have you taken these good decisions? On, what has been the influence in your good decisions? Each one of these things will be a part of your story. The next thing that we'll talk about, if we can go, Aditi, to the next one, is that you need to be able to tell, hey, listen, I am what I am. For example, somebody has a very bad percentage in 12th. Like, for example, Achal is asking, I have an 8, 8, and 5. It's okay to have a 50%. It's okay to have a 60%. It's okay to fail. But what you need to be able to say is, hey, I have a story to tell. Please notice one thing, and I'm telling you this again. You, among 200,000 students, 192,000 students in the people who have written CAT, and if you look at ZAT and Symbiosis and other things also put together, you have come to this interview stage, not all of them, which means you already have a good story to talk about. You already are a better story, you have a better background. Why are you afraid? The moment you get a call, please understand that you are better than, a lakh others or thousands of others. The moment you understand this, you will not feel bad about it. And never compare yourself with somebody else. And never compare with somebody else. And the moment you compare with somebody else, you are going to waste your time. You have to talk only about yourself. Do not compare yourself with anybody else in this world. It's an insult to yourself in the first place. What you need to be able to tell in your interview is that, boss, I have had good turning points. Yes, there have been 50%. But look, I had 50%, but I'm in your interview. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means that there have been some brilliant things that I've done in my life. That's why I'm in front of you. So those turning points is what you need to talk about rather than anything else, Achal. Understand? And the same thing will be important for an interviewer, for a organization which tries to select you also. The organization knows that despite getting a 50%, you have come there. Think about a guy who is always 90, 90, 90. He has not seen a failure, and tomorrow morning he sees a failure, he might make up a biggest blunder in the corporate. Whereas you, at the 80, 80, and 60, or 80, 80, and 50, you've seen failures, you know how to tackle negatives. Would you be a better person than a 90, 90, 90%? My answer is, frankly, yes. If you can understand that, you will never ever worry about yourself. Okay? Keep that in mind, is what I'm saying. This is where you need to talk about. And the next 5 things that I'm going to talk about is very simple. This is where my story begins. You need to be able to build, what is it that happened, good things in your life when you grew up. What have been, when you grew up, as what are your turning points of your life? What are your aha moments of your life? Once you understand that, then you go to the next thing is, okay, boss, what have been my college years? What did you learn in your college? It doesn't matter whether you've done engineering, have not, therefore not done great, but what have you done in your college? What did you contribute in your college to the college as such? And what have you done in your free time? What are your hobbies? It comes there. What are your hobbies? But you know what they're looking at it? Boss, is this guy a very boring guy? Didn't do anything at all? Or he did something else? And within this college, what are your turning points? There will always be some aha moments in your life, in your college too. That changed something, some agitation, some cultural festival, some participation somewhere else, which would have changed the way you are. And that is what you need to look at it. The third thing, of course, is your work. Remember, I told about the professional life. Why is it that you joined? You can't be negative about this. In fact, one of the most important, right, Achal? One of the things important to understand is you cannot be negative to what you do. Whether it is your school, college, parents, teacher, city, state, or your prime minister for that matter, you need to be positive about most of these things, all of these things. Even in your work, you might hate your work, but you can't say that. Because if it's true that you don't like your work, why are you still there? So at least the money that is there coming to you is good enough. So that's good for your work. So talk about the positives about your work. My work, this is why I joined my company. This is what I do in my company. This is what I contributed to my company. You need to be able to tell why do you love this job. Love could be only because boss aaj ke liye mere paas this guy has given me this, in this company has given me the job, whereas somebody else has yet to give me a job. The day that somebody else gives me a job, maybe I'll go. But as long as on my job, as long as in my company, I should like what I do. Whether I like my boss, whether I don't like my boss, that is immaterial. You need to like your work, because you are judged on not your liking or dislike of your boss, but you are judged on what you like or don't like about your job, and what you have contributed or not contributed about your job. I think that is the most important thing, that you need to look at it. Then there will be failures, obviously. You need to be able to say, hey, boss, when did you fail? In other words, here is where some weaknesses might have happened. Did you turn them into strengths? Any weakness, any failure, what did you learn from there? What has been the turning point? What are your aha moments? I think those things will be very, very important when you pick it up as far as your interview is concerned. And the last two, the most important thing coming is, boss, what is your biggest strength? Or what is your biggest weakness? When you say, this is something lots of people don't realize this. They say anything and everything as your strength. But when you say strength, you need to realize one important thing, that this has to have given you value in something that you have done in life. Similarly, when you say weakness, it would have had a negative effect in your life somewhere. Unless those two things happen, it cannot be a strength or a weakness in that sense. You can't say that my biggest strength is my mother, kind of thing. Meri paas maa hai, kind of thing. But that bullshit is completely, my parents are my biggest strength. Or you can't say the reverse also, my biggest strength, weakness is my parents, kind of a silly things that people talk about. You have to talk about your characteristic strengths, your individual personal strengths. And that is very, very important. Congratulations, Mr. Sachin. And lastly, here is what happened, and that is what your story is all about. What is your performance? Why is it not up to the mark? The reason why you took a decision. If you go back in time, what would you have done? What are your turning points in each of these places? So, I will conclude with the last point, the next slide. Okay, uh, before the last point, one last thing is, they will ask you why MBA, and that is where we are again coming back to saying that, boss, this is what I want to be and why I want to be. You could be an entrepreneur, you could be a consultant, you want to be a corporate leader, or you could go back to your family business. What are the reasons for that is very, very crucial for you to take care of a decision in that. So when you take about your preparation, when you start your preparation, like I said, there are three areas: your personal life story, your professional life story, and your social life story. In these three life stories, can you list out the 5 most specific things that you would like to do in an interview, or like to present in an interview? It could be 5 stories. It could be somewhere in the 7th class that you have done. It could be in your 10th class when you are a prefect of your school. It could be in your 12th class when you're preparing for your IIT JEE, or it could be in your degree when you are in second year and not getting an internship, but you did something on your own. Each and everything, whichever point it could be, every one of you, if you want to crack your interview properly, apart from discussing on subject, work experience, strengths, weakness, everything, prepare 5 ideas, 5 stories of yourself which you want to talk about. This is where I talk about the cover story, selling your story. And you're selling your story is when you have some powerful 5 stories. It could be a success stories, or it could be a failure stories which are turned into success in terms of your learning, and you can absolutely get it done. Once you do that, my friends, I think you are there. And I'm telling you, selling your story to an IIM is what you need to do when you go into interview. Do not worry about will they ask me this question or will they ask me that question kind of things. Because at the end of the day, it's a personal interview. Like I said, they can ask you any of the three areas that that they have put it across in the very beginning of this discussion. But it is not what that they are going to be bothered about, because at the end of the day they could have asked you in this in making you write those questions also. Remember, in a written test they ask you your aptitude. They will not ask you again reading comprehension passage. They will not give you and ask you to find out, okay, tell me the answers for the next 5 questions. They will not ask you that. But they are looking at your conviction. They are looking at how can you improve yourself. They are looking at, is this person in front of me, the girl or the boy, made for a career in management? Does this person has the conviction of what he is talking about? Interview is an art. Selling, therefore, your story is an art. And what are you going to do is from your own story, not somebody else's story. And never bother about what others have. Lots of people say, sir, उसने तो इतना किया, उसने इतना किया, उसके पास इतना internships है, इतना certificates है. I don't have anything else, kind of a statement somebody might make. But here is what I'm trying to say. You don't need to have anything. What you need to have is confidence, commitment, and more importantly, conviction in your story. If you understand this story of yourself, you will crack the any interview that comes your way. So here is what I will tell you. Those of you who have joined us at Career Launcher, we have something called a PDP program, the Personality Development Program. We have two programs in that. One is the PDP personalized program, where the gurus of the gurus of GD and interview over the last 20 years are going to be your mentors. And we also have a PDP plan. Every type of question, every institute, there is a nuance of that institute. We kind of make sure that you are prepared with all the questions that I'm talking about, help given to you in terms of the B school forms that you need to fill, and more importantly, on an average, on a one-on-one basis, as a personal mentorship given to you. It is not like you go to a doctor and say you have a fever, and the doctor says, okay, take this paracetamol. The idea would be, hey, when did your fever start? How much of temperature that you have? Do you have anything beyond this fever? Do you have cough, cold? Do you have a headache? Do you have something else? Minute details of you. That is what a personalized mentorship is all about. And that is what Career Launcher will give you. And that's what we will be able to help you out, kind of thing. Mr. Sachin Dongre, I am from Career Launcher head office. We have a branch at Pune, and we have excellent faculty members at Pune who will take care of any one of. In fact, we have done faculty members both online and offline at each of the centers, who will make sure that your personal interview, your preparation for the personal interview is taken care of very, very coolly. Thank you so much for this. And of course, if you have any more questions, I will answer these questions. Before that, last 5 points I'm going to talk about. One, in an interview, you need to be very clearly ethical. You may say, sir, I'm not so ethical. What should I do? I said, boss, no MBA institute in the world would like to take an unethical person. Now, you will ask me, sir, therefore, should I be dishonest? I have a different question. That's where, how do you expect, what is honesty? The way I look at what is honesty is, at least you will not lie. You will not lie. May not tell the entire truth, but it's very, very important that you will at least not lie in interview. Because the moment you lie, it will be very, very easy for them to figure it out. Then there are questions that can come in, other important questions in the middle of an interview, saying that, boss, are you a manager or a leader? Or which institute should you choose between X and Y? Like, for example, you are an IIM Indore interview and you also have an IIM Ahmedabad call. They'll ask you, you're an IIM Indore interview. They'll ask you, okay, you get an IIM Ahmedabad final selection and Indore final selection. Which one will you select? If you say, of course, IIM Ahmedabad, they'll ask you to go jump. That's very, very important. They will ask you to go goddamn jump. Why should they take you in the first place? If you are going to Ahmedabad, if you get Indore, that doesn't mean you will join IIM Indore. If you say, oh, of course I am Indore, then also they'll reject you, because then you will be dishonest. If you say I am Ahmedabad, you will say, sir, I've been honest. No, you're not being diplomatic. Don't they know if you're an IIM in the Indore interview and if you're an IIM Ahmedabad call, don't they know that you will probably go to IIM Ahmedabad? If they know that, why are they asking that question then? They're asking that question because they want to basically figure out whether you can be a basic leader or not. Can you be a little more diplomatic or not? Without saying that I will go to Ahmedabad, without kind of undermining your Indore, can you do that? It's almost like saying that your girlfriend asks you, hey boss, suddenly if Deepika Padukone, of course she is married, let's say, who's the latest sensation these days? I don't know. Maybe Disha Patani comes and says, and your girlfriend says, hey, if Disha Patani wants to marry you, will you marry instead of me? And you say, अरे यार वो क्यों पूछेगी मुझे, मैं तुम्हें ही शादी करूंगा करके मत बोलना. बोलना दिशा पटानी जाए भाड़ में, you are the only girl in front of me, kind of things. The moment you say that, but without saying that Disha Patani is bad, you say Disha Patani is very good, but you are in front of me. I'll be very happy to have married you, kind of a statement is what you need to tell to IIM Indore also. I know I'm kind of making it a little jocular, but it is not that jocular in that sense of the word. Keep that in mind is what I'm saying. Then the question is, why should we select you? One second, just go back to that. Then the two questions, why should we select you, or give us 3 reasons to reject you? These are 2 very, very normal questions which are asked. These are very 2 normal questions which are asked. Why should we select you? Once again, you go back to why your MBA and what are your strengths. That's as simple as that. That is your story. Once again, you are being given a chance to sell your story. Keep that in mind is what I would say. And the next one is, give your 3 reasons to reject you. In such kind of things, you need to be honest, but don't give everything reason saying that boss mujhe kuch bhi nahi hai, kind of a thing. Tell them very nicely, saying that, sir, ideally I would have got selected. I would like to get selected. But if you think there are 3 reasons, one reason probably could be that my scores are not good enough for you, or my interview is not as up to the mark as is required to get a mark, which will give me a final selection. Probably one of the things I heard is that my CAT score is not as high as it can give me the extra points. Give very, very factual questions rather than saying that I'm not a good manager and therefore don't select me, kind of things. Keep that in mind is what I would say. With that, I think any other questions that can come in, I will answer. Thank you and all the best. But before that, Ajnesh Kumar, sir, I have received XLRI call for HRM program. Please do a session on XIT interview. Yes, Ajnesh, we will do that for sure. CL was very optimistic regarding last year's snap cutoff. Is this year cutoff on point? Deepak Jadhav, I will always be optimistic on that. For the matter, please understand, Deepak, that every one of us makes an assessment of what we believe is correct. It is not that I will start giving an idea thinking that it will be wrong. Having said that, I am very sure that we will still be correct. Let's see. Let's wait and see, kind of things. We'll have a couple of questions like, Harsh sir, 96.82, ZAT percentile, conversion chances. Harsh, you're not listening to me. You have 100% conversion chances provided you had a fantastic job in your interview. Is symbiosis calls profile based? No, it is to a large extent, it is going to be score based. The Aditya Narayan Tiwari, it should be formal but engaging and pleasant. It cannot be too stiff. It cannot be too flippant. It has to be engaging, conversational is what my answer would be. Fair enough? Any other question? So Harsh Goyal and every one of you who have got any calls, please get in touch with us. Please get in touch with us for our PDP program, PDP personalized and PDP crash programs. Both of them are extremely useful to make sure that your journey to your preparation will be taken care of completely in that sense. Okay. Blazer is not a must, Arjun, but since you're going to sit in an interview, it's a B school interview, I would recommend that you wear a blazer and a tie. Okay. Ideally, Bishwarup, you should be clean shaven unless you have a very, very strong, very nice beard and it's trimmed in that sense. Like you don't, for example, I am not in a position to go to an interview. It's a stubble. You don't go with the stubble at all. Khyati Seth, what would be a good answer to questions we don't know? Sorry, sir, I don't know. Is a simplest answer that you need to say, Khyati. As simple as that. Thanks, Mrinal. Sachin ji, please go to careerlauncher.com/catmba. Leave you the saying. One of our representatives will get in touch with you without fail. Right? With that, let me wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me on a Saturday evening. Wish you all the very best. Bitstorm is a good one. Harsh, you can think about it, but make sure that whatever else you have, kind of converted kind of things. Any particular do's and don'ts for XP, GDM, XLRI? Frankly, Anurag, whatever I told you in today's session, if you do it well, I think you'll be done with that. Scholarships are always available, Karthik Agarwal. Please check it out. If you have some loyalty offers are there, previous student offers are there, etc. kind of things, they'll be continuously there. EWS offers are there. Just check it out. We will definitely be able to help you out on that. Right? With that, and thanks to my wonderful colleagues Shreya and Aditi. See you in the PDP classes. I have done this in a very short manner. The same is available in a 2-hour format for this particular thing in a lot more elaborate manner. I'm pretty sure that your PDP preparation, which is your interview preparation, will be on the right track once you join us. Thank you so much. Wish you all the very best. KJ is very good. Shripad Deshmukh. With that, we will wind it up and come back to you in the next session on YouTube Career Launcher. Please subscribe to our launcher so that any new sessions that we do, we will always be able to help you out with that. Thank you.